On this week's episode of the BS Show, we dive into Astrobot and more. Before we jump in, don't forget to stay connected with us on all socials at the BS Show GG. Love what you're hearing? Show your support by liking this episode, dropping a comment with your thoughts, sharing this episode, and subscribing to keep up with all our future content. I'm Blake, and with me as always is Steve. Now everybody, welcome back. We've had a very much needed vacation. I know, Steve, you were in Japan, right?
Yeah.
So kind of give us a rundown. Tell us all about what happened in Japan, dude. I haven't been over there in like 10 fucking years, dude.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool to see how to see a lot of the older architecture. A lot of it's still kind of around. They still kind of, I mean, granted, a lot of it is very like touristy.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool country. Everyone is super nice. Like there was one specific scenario that I kind of tell everyone when I came back. I was like, I was walking to the store one morning and it was raining. It was super windy, and my umbrella, because of the wind, gets like blown out and it's basically
blown inside out.
Destroyed. Yeah, so it's completely destroyed. Everything's broken in there, and I can't use it. So I like throw my hoodie on, and I'm walking in the rain with no umbrella, and some random lady's just riding her bike down the road. And she just grabs the umbrella from the back of her basket and she just hands it to me. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, this would never happen. Like in the US, if you see someone just walking down the street in the rain, nothing, you're like, oh, whatever,
turning your head the other way.
Yeah. It's like, but no, yeah, this person just gave me the umbrella. It's a definitely different culture. Like I said, everyone's super nice. Stuff is super inexpensive, which kind of makes sense why a lot of people are just kind of flocking towards it. But it was a blast. I loved it.
I got a question for you about it. So how I'm trying to think if this is like the right term. How like technologically advanced it seemed like was like, because you think of Japan, you think of like this electronic like super country, you know what I mean, super advanced technology. Like how was like that part of it? Did you really, you know, like the cities and stuff like that? Like how was it all?
I mean the cities just feel like big cities. Like it feels like you're going to New York. I know there's like some things in the infrastructure that kind of make it a little bit different. Like I was watching some random video the other day that Japan has some things in their floor that kind of helps power the city.
Yeah.
But in terms of technology, I mean, there's not. I guess
don't they have a super train over there? Like a bullet train or something like
that? They have the bullet train. They have their transit system is like, it was incredible. It's like, it's very confusing, but I think once you kind of get the hang of it, like if you're going to specific areas, you kind of just understand like, okay, I need to go this place. I need to go this one. I need to take this train. This is a train that I need to take. But if you're trying to go to like some random place that you've never been to, it can definitely get a little bit confusing at times. There's just so many different routes that go on the same railway, and
well, like how much harder was it to know where to go though, with it being all in Japanese?
It's there's a lot of English. There's a lot of stuff in English. Okay. Even in the trains, like when they say like, oh, you're arriving at this station, they say it in Japanese first, and they say it in English, then they say it in Chinese. Cool. So it's like you get a little bit of everything. But it's Google Maps, Apple Maps. They're super helpful. Like I would just throw on where I wanted to go in the Maps app. I use both. It just kind of depends. I forgot to get the global SIM thing, so I ran out of data after like a week. So my internet was super slow. So it would really just depend whatever was working. But
so you were there for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. 2 weeks.
So did you? I know you brought your Steam Deck with you. Any good games you play over there, or is it more focused on traveling and you didn't really have a whole lot of time to play?
Yeah, I didn't. I think I played once when I was in the apartment, and I was just playing Power Wash Simulator right before I fell asleep. But no, I honestly never really used it. There was just, like I said, we were just doing so much. It's a lot of walking, a lot of like going to different places. That's the one thing that's like super different compared to like here to out there. It's like, even there was one day where we were so hungover, all we did was go to the store or go to the mall, grab some food, and come back. And I still walked about like 5 miles.
Damn.
And that's just like that little bit, just from walking to the train station and going from the train station to get food and back. It's like you just walk so much in that area.
So like I mean, obviously cars are so popular, but like it's probably like New York, where like you could take a car, but more people would much rather take like the public transit or like walk or ride a bike or something like that, right?
A lot of bikes. There's a lot of bikes. But there's just so many people, and there's a lot of traffic. The trains just are a lot more convenient, super inexpensive. It's super quick. You don't have to stop to buy anything, to buy a ticket. You do if you can if you want to, but there's a little card you can add to your wallet on your iPhone. You just refill it whenever, and you literally just tap it, and then you tap it again when you arrive at your destination when you're trying to exit.
Yeah.
And it charges you however much it's going to charge you.
Okay.
So it's super easy, super simple. The hardest part is just figuring out where you're going, and like some of these train stations are gigantic. Like they have like malls inside them, and then they connect to other malls. So it's like you're walking in this train station, and there's like all of these food places and all these stores to buy stuff. And then you're walking down a tunnel to get to another platform. And then all of a sudden you end up in a mall, and then you have to walk through this mall to get to somewhere else, and then walk through another tunnel, and then eventually, you end up at the platform that you want to get to.
Sounds fucking confusing. So, any other kind of games you've been playing like the past week, or you just still, because you said you were kind of still just like getting over all the jet lag, right? Because I know you were like 18 hours ahead of us, so.
Yeah, the jet lag kind of screwed me over pretty bad. Like it wasn't until like Thursday that I actually felt normal.
Yeah.
And even then, like I still had a lot of brain fog. I think a lot of it I was like good to go Friday, still a little tired, but not to the point like where I was Sunday, which is crazy because like I got home Saturday and I slept 12 hours. Like I literally slept all the way through, and I didn't wake up. I think I fell asleep around 8 p.m. and I woke up at 8 a.m., like 9 a.m., something like that. So it's like I literally slept 12 hours straight, and I thought, oh, I'm good. Like I'm going to be able to go to sleep. I slept all through the night, whatever. And it comes Sunday night, and I slept an hour, and I just couldn't fall back asleep. It was brutal.
Yeah, because you're probably like your internal clock thinking it's like daytime, because like you said you're like so far ahead. Yeah, Did you, okay, before we, just to talk a little bit about the vacation again, so like I was in Jamaica, do you notice like all these other countries, like how fucking crazy the people are that drive cars are? So like we took it's like a private transfer from our airport to Negril, so from Montego Bay to Negril, it's probably like an hour and a half, 45-minute drive. And like they're driving like it's like so fucking recklessly. Like when I was in Korea, it was like the same thing. Like people would like blow stoplights. Stoplights were kind of just like a suggestion. Like people would stop at them really quick, and then like if the coast was clear, they just fucking blow through them. Did you notice like a difference in like the way people are driving over there too?
Some yes. I think it just depends where you're at. Like we went to some mountain towns, and people were driving a little like super fast. Down these mountains, and it's like I know if I would be driving down those, I definitely wouldn't be going that fast. Yeah. But like I think people drive crazy here too. It's just but
we're not blowing through. I mean, people do blow through stoplights.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that drive like 150 down the highway, just like yeah. I think people drive crazy no matter where you go.
So like for me, let's see. So for me, I just picked up Assassin's Creed Shadows because that just dropped like 2-3 days ago. Yeah. I only got 9 minutes played so far. I've been playing too much League, and I wanted to mention this because you always talk about how fucking toxic I am. So I actually just hit honor level 5 in League, which is the highest level of honor you can get, and you get that from people thumbs upping you and like not reporting you for being toxic. So like I got 5 skins from Riot for reaching honor level 5, which is kind of like a big deal, but it shows you how but it means that you're not toxic. And what's funny but hold on, here's the best part, dude, is I'm still fucking chat suspended until fucking May, but I got a higher level honor.
You're pretty toxic. I played like one game with you, and I was like, I could never play this game with you again.
No.
Like I would just
Well, so okay, so I got it. So to before we hop into the first segment, I want to ask you a question here because I was playing a little bit of WoW too, and it kind of got me thinking. Do you think that MMOs are a dying genre of game?
I don't necessarily think it's a dying genre. I think there is something out there that could really be able to get people back. I mean, you have games like Fortnite, like League of Legends, that it kind of pulls people in and has people playing that one game. I think for me, it's just there's just so many different types of games out there. It's very difficult to justify putting in the amount of effort that's required to be successful in an MMO. I think an MMO, and I think we see it with WoW too. It's like they've kind of dumbed it down a lot to where it's like you don't necessarily have to put in the amount of hours that you used to back in the day. Like if you compare it like current WoW to classic, like just leveling itself is insanely faster. Gearing is insanely quick. There's just so many things that it shortens the amount of time that you have to commit to being able to play these games.
Yeah.
That I think eventually something will come that people kind of gravitate towards.
Well, because like the reason I wanted to ask you that is, like I said, I kind of got back into it, and so now there's like a whole new fucking zone called the Undermine, and you have to complete like a whole quest line, defeat a boss to get a crest to craft gear. It's just like it's for the main demographic for like these MMOs are like, I'd probably say, between 20 and 40, 40, 50 years old. It's like, I'm finding it like harder and harder to keep up with all the shit that you have to do in this game. Like having to do the questing, for the crest, and then there's like another zone you got to go to level up a ring, and then having to try to do delves, and then try to do raids and mythics. It's like, dude, it's so much shit, and it's like, you got guys like us who we work full-time jobs, and then if God forbid you have a family, have a kid, wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, it makes it really fucking hard to put the time into it. So I was just thinking, man, I wonder if like other people are feeling the same way I am, where I'm just like, I don't like, it's hard for me to hop in and I look at it, I'm like, God, dude, I have all this shit I gotta do today. But it's like, then I could just hop into another game where it's like, oh, picked off where I left off, don't have to worry about doing all that other shit,
Yeah, and that's kind of why WoW kind of transitioned more into that, being able to hop in, hop out whenever you want with things like delves, mythic pluses. Like you don't necessarily have to spend, like I know like back in the day, it's like you would have to come on and like you had to do your dailies every single day. It's like you had to make sure you got your dailies done. You had to make sure you got your weeklies done. And then on top of that, there was dungeons you had to run, raids you had to run. You had to make sure you cleared raid. And if you're PvPing, you had to make sure you capped. Like there's so many things that you can do now that kind of help alleviate having to spend that much time. Yeah. I just think the end loop for World of Warcraft just isn't as rewarding as it used to be. Like raids, unless you're top 1% of raiding and doing mythic pluses, raids just aren't as enjoyable anymore. Normals are incredibly simple and easy. Like I remember back in the day where it would take like just like a regular guild about a week to it would take a couple weeks for sure to clear a normal raid. And then on top of that, like heroic was usually a longer term thing, at least for the raids that I was kind of involved in. It was never one of those things where it's like, now you can just hop on, you clear normal one first day, you clear heroic first day, and it's like, okay, what do I do the rest of the time? Yeah, it's just not as rewarding. And PvP is a completely separate topic. I feel like it's the worst it's ever been, and it's just not enjoyable.
Yeah, I like with PvP, it's hard to explain it. Like I've tried making the suggestion that like solo shuffle, okay, let people play by themselves, whatever. I wish like the 3v3 ladder would just make it flex queuable to where I could queue up, let's just say me and you, right, want to play threes together, that me and you could just, hop in, hit the Q button, and it just finds that third person to compete on the ladder with, instead of, having to sit there with LFG or find a third person. I'm noticing it now, like a week into the season or 2 weeks into the season, it's just like there was like 12 fucking groups in LFG for threes, and like that was it. And like you queue solo shuffle and you're sitting 25-minute fucking queues to play one game. That's why I was like, I don't even know if I want to continue playing it. I don't know. I'm sure you understand what I mean with that, but
no, yeah, for sure.
Anyways, all right. Well, let's cut to the BS and get right into it. So TFT just had the Tactician's Crown, which is like a huge TFT tournament where like all the TFT players compete. And there's a huge, I don't know if you would call it like an accusation because it was the fucking proof that this guy was doing it. But there seemed to be some win trading going on between two big Chinese players called Shiturin and Lilu, who was actually the former champion of the TFT Tactician's Crown. Basically, what had happened was Shiturin pretty much wasn't guaranteed a spot, to advance, and he was going in a round against Seopami, and Shiturin basically, so he had a 3-star, I think it was Vi. And he removed all the items off his 3 stars and changed the way his board was laid out, basically giving the match to Seopami. And doing so, Lilu got +1 placement point, pretty much guaranteeing him a spot to advance in the tournament. By doing this, the biggest issue with this, like that people are, because it's all over Twitter and Reddit about it, is that there's another guy named Predavant. He would have gotten a spot had this not happened, but because of them doing this, he pretty much got taken out of the tournament. So people are calling for the banning of those two. Now, there's nobody's for sure that Lilu was in on it, but it's very, very highly suspicious given that they're both Chinese players, and he's the only person that would have benefited off of Shiturin throwing that match. So you're a big TFT guy. What do you think about this whole fucking thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those situations where it's like, I heard, so Mort Dog is one of the developers for TFT, and he had a Twitch stream where he kind of talked about it. And he was basically stating, it's like, I don't necessarily think this is win trading. I think the Riot team did the right thing. I think this person was just stressed out and was just tilting, and he made a suboptimal play.
You think he's just like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm gonna lose anyway?
I think so at least from Mort Dog's perspective, it's like he thinks that this person was on I can't remember if he was on a lose streak or not, but he basically said he's like on a 6-game lose streak, and he just wanted to do something different, try something different, which I think in regular circumstance, it does kind of make sense. Like, you're swapping out your items from a 3-star 1 cost to a 2-star 4 cost, but I'm not like the best TFT player. I hit diamond the last season I played, and then this season hit platinum. So it's not like I'm a TFT expert by any means, but I know that's not a play that I would make, even if I was kind of. Like, a lot of times when I'm playing TFT, I'm watching a YouTube video, I'm doing something else. So my mind is kind of in a couple different places at the same time anyways. But this person, they had, TFT has these things called augments, where it's basically you choose different power-ups or gold or XP things that kind of give you a sense of value. And he had one called No Scout, No Pivot, where it's you can't make any changes with the characters you have on the board. Like, you can't remove them, you can't sell them, you can't do anything. So the longer they're on your board, the more stacks they get of this buff, so they get stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And this Violet has been on his board since basically the first round. So you can imagine like how much stronger this 3-star Violet is compared to the 2-star Vi. So there's a lot of little things like that. It's like removing the items. Then he had another augment where the two characters that are the farthest away from each other both get a buff. So it's moving the Violet away from that as well. And then
I don't put the 2-star Vi into it, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think the Vi was in the best position either. Like, there was a couple things that the positioning was not the greatest. There was a lot of things that I would expect someone playing in the last round of Swiss and Worlds, that's one of the highest level players, to be able to play a little bit better than what they played. But again, it's a lot of people are stating this was blatant win trading. which I know China was accused of a couple of years ago as well, and the exact same thing happened. I think people are more upset by Riot's decision rather than the actual event. Riot kind of just, I think within a couple hours, they immediately came out with their decision and like, this wasn't win trading. It doesn't, it like, yeah, it was, it's kind of just based off the player. Like the player just misplayed. And there's a lot of pro players that are coming out and basically saying, "Oh, so I can win trade and just blame it on outside factors and say I was stressed and I was and I just misplayed," which is crazy because it's the only thing that they didn't even talk about the win trading aspect. So it's like Riot has different rule sets that they can look at when they investigate. So they have win trading is one, and then suboptimal gameplay is another one. So it's like, it's kind of like, I guess in League of Legends, like if you're intentionally feeding the other team. Yeah. Like if you're intentionally feeding the other team. So TFT, it's like if you're like intentionally contesting someone, even though it has nothing to do with whatever you're playing, you're just pulling characters that they need because it's like you want it to be harder for them, just to kind of grief. So it's like they based it off the only thing they investigated was suboptimal gameplay and not the win trade aspect of it. So I think more people are upset about the win trade rather than the actual.
Oh, you had made a good point with this, and I kind of want you to go a little deeper into it. So Riot's owned by Tencent, who is a Chinese company, and these two players that this happened with are Chinese players. Do you think like Riot's not doing anything because it's like a conflict of interest? Like, oh, these guys are from China. I don't want to, fuck it up. We want people from China to win.
I think that's more of like a conspiracy theory.
So?
I know a lot of people are saying this on Twitter and Reddit, basically saying how Riot is like bowing down to the Chinese overlord and not trying to upset Tencent, or maybe someone from Tencent came out and told Riot like, you cannot do anything against them. We want to position our Chinese players to be at the highest level every single year, no matter what. Who knows if that's what happened? It is kind of shady though. It's the fact that nothing happened and nothing was investigated. Like I feel like whenever,
wrist, not even really that.
Well, not even a slap on a wrist. Like absolutely nothing happened.
So what do you think the punishment should be then, or should have been?
I think a fine is fine. Like I don't think you necessarily go back and give the other person the placement instead of who got it. It's, I don't know. It's difficult to say because it's like there's so many things you have to look at. Would changing that really have made a factor in placements? Who knows?
Because he still could have lost, even if he was playing at his best. He still there still may have been the chance he would have lost. Right?
The same thing could have happened. There's no way to really simulate the. TFT has so many different factors that are in play that it's extremely, extremely difficult to run like a simulation, because you have things like augments, you have items, you have what your opponent did, you have positioning. So there's a bunch of things like that can kind of play a factor in everything. And then obviously there's RNG as well in the fights. Like if one person's attack goes off and yours doesn't, like they might win or you might win the other one. But
so what do you think this means, though, for the integrity of future TFT comps? Do you think people are just going to still be taken seriously if this is like the second or third time that this has happened?
I don't think so. I think this kind of opens up a Pandora's box where now you're going to have people that are going to intentionally lose
just to see.
And try to attempt to blame it on a misplay. Obviously, they're going to figure out ways to do it a little bit more strategically and make it not as like obvious that it's win trading. But you have people that play with each other all day, or all year. They practice with each other all year in preparation for Worlds. Their teammates, whatever. Even if they're not teammates, they're friends. So obviously, they want to see each other do well. And if there's an opportunity for like say me and you were playing against each other and I've already guaranteed a spot, or maybe I haven't guaranteed a spot in the tournament, there's no way I'll make it. If I lose to you, or if I lose to whoever I'm playing against, it guarantees you a spot in the tournament. I'm gonna lose. Like if I can blame it on something else, that's what I think. That's what I think is going to start happening. Is you're going to start seeing more and more people do something similar. And
I think they
it's
need to
going
do it though. They need to make an example out of this and just show how fucked how fucked this whole situation is. Because then if Riot, so like I think if Riot, if somebody were to do this, right, who wasn't from China or whatever, like, and Riot were to ban them, then I think, you know, it's kind of, then for sure, like, the whole competitive integrity of the everything is kind of out the window. So
well, I think there was
need to do it just to see what they do.
I don't know how true it is, but I saw something on Reddit that there was this one player, I believe it was Setsuko, who's like a big, he's like touted as one of the better TFT players. He's like fairly consistently up there in terms of ranks and in terms of placements in worlds and all that stuff in big tournaments. And he was banned last year, or even like for a couple months, from competing in like major tournaments for saying something. And he posted something on Twitter.
For speaking out against Riot?
Yeah, and he posted something on Twitter basically calling out Riot and saying how like this is completely stupid. It's like the dumbest decision Riot could ever made, and they banned him from competing again for a year.
Oh my god!
So it's like there's like things like this that kind of makes it seem like they are trying to hide it and not necessarily. I agree with you. I think they need to make an example out of this and kind of tell people it's like we are taking this. Yeah, we are taking this very seriously because just you looking at it, like, you don't play TFT. If you just saw that and you're just like, oh yeah, this is obviously win trading. Like,
yeah, and I'd be like, what's the purpose of these fucking tournaments? Because I'm like, they're gonna let win whoever they want to let win.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So all right, so let's hop on the next one. I think we could talk about this forever. So this next one is actually really fucking cool. So you sent me a video on TikTok, basically Xbox showing off their new AI gaming coach that they called Copilot, and they were basically showcasing how it could be used in games like Overwatch. What this thing does is it gives you tricks and tips and things like that while in your game. Kind of helps you. Like they were showing it, like help the person figure out what they did wrong. What hero would be good for your team comp, or even what hero you can choose to counter the enemy team. I don't know if you had a chance to like look at some of those comments, but the comments on the video are actually pretty fucking hilarious. Like two of these comments that stuck out, I actually like the most liked comments on there were, imagine being so buns that you got to get AI to help, and then the other one was no AI can save my rank games. I thought it was pretty funny, but like I think this is like a really cool idea. I think it could be extremely useful to new players or even players that maybe don't take the game so seriously, and maybe they want to take it like to that next step and they're not exactly sure what they're doing, because right now people use like YouTube videos or Reddit or Googling and stuff, and like this just kind of gives people that extra little here. You're like, if you're going against what's that? Symmetra, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Play Soldier 76 because he's a good counter to her. So they said they only showcased Overwatch. I wondering like what other kind of games could really this be big in, because it almost seems like, because it's only Xbox, so it's like I wonder if like it's something you could use in like Marvel Rivals. Shit like that, because I mean, it couldn't really be used in like Call of Duty. But what's your thoughts on like a whole co-pilot or a AI coach for these games?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny because I was watching something and they were basically saying how Xbox only created this for the IGN reviewers so that they're able to like beat the tutorials in games.
Because they're buns, bro. Because they're buns.
Yeah, but no, it's interesting. I think it's. One, I think everyone wants to get involved with AI. The more that they can do with AI, I think it's like a big buzzword right now. Everyone wants to do something with AI. Who knows why Microsoft is trying to get this involved with it? But like it is very interesting because you can incorporate this into everything, into single player games. Imagine you're stuck in a single player game and the AI just pops out, just tells you, hey, you should try this instead. You should try this weapon, or you should go level up. It's like, imagine you're playing like Elden Ring and you're just getting whooped by a boss, like you when you were trying to beat the horse dude.
Shut up, dude.
And the AI just pops up after like your 10th try saying, hey, you should probably go level up and get your horse first.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. If I had died to that boss 10 times in a row and a fucking AI popped up, you should try doing this, I would fucking throw my controller into my monitor and turn off the fucking game. Yeah, I'd be so fucking pissed. I'd be like, hey, this dude's fucking
10 times, calling me that's it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do. I'm not. But okay, you can't tell me like you're not gonna be tilting like even after 10 times of dying and dying. No, I would be.
No, because
if I had an AI pretty much telling me, hey, you're so shit, so I'm going to step in and try to walk you through this. Like, fuck you, I'm turning this game off. I'm being done with it.
No, because it's like, have you ever played like a game like Tomb Raider or Uncharted or even like Last of Us where there's like puzzles that you have to do?
Yeah, you just have to sit there and Google.
No, I guess if you want to Google it, you can Google it. But if you take long enough and you're not able to solve it, eventually like little hints will pop up on the screen or it zooms in to where you're supposed to go. So it's things like that. Like games are already doing something similar. Now it's just going to be a vocal response saying, hey, do this instead. I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's cool as shit too. I mean, I wonder what other games like you could really do. I know, like you said, a lot of single players. I like that idea because there are so many single player games where you're like, okay, where do I go? What do I do? And like this would kind of be like, hey, you've been in the same area for 30 minutes. Why don't you try going over here? Why don't you try doing this to kind of push you along, to get you to complete the game.
And I think it would work with honestly any game, like every game you could think of. Like I can definitely see
Call of Duty?
Some sort of AI, 100%. Like you don't think it would work in Call of Duty? Like if you're struggling,
no.
If you're struggling with some sort of weapon, or it's like if you're playing Warzone or something. I mean, there's literally YouTube videos you can watch on Call of Duty that tell you how to do things more optimally. So it's
like maybe you should rotate to the zone now.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go over here to based upon how the zone is coming in. This would be a really good area to go and hunker down.
Or if it like obviously I think it's going to notice like, hey, you're aiming a little bit to the right. Try shifting your aim down a little bit more to the left, something like that. Like I don't know if it's going to incorporate things like that where it's like it's tracking how you're shooting and it's tracking how well you're doing and how maybe you're holding down the trigger and you should be tapping it instead because it's going to be more optimal.
What if it was like, hey, what if it was like so fucking advanced? It was like, hey, based upon how you're using your controllers and your joysticks, try setting your sensitivities to this for like optimal fucking aiming. Yeah, because it'd be like, you're jerking it too much or overcorrecting. Like if you set your settings to this, it would make your shot a lot better. I could see something like that would be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
but before we get into our next topic, don't forget to stay connected with us on all socials at the BS Show GG. And if you're enjoying this episode so far, be sure to share the podcast. All right, man. So Call of Duty. This is the second time I've heard about these fucking pay-to-win skins with them. So there's another video that's been going around that it's a skin, the Terminator pack, and pretty much showing that it's a pay-to-win. So it's similar to, I don't know if you ever had a chance to see. This is like from a couple years ago. It's a called Rose skin. It's like a black outfit on this like very thin small character model. And it made it like very hard for the character to be seen, and it's basically like if you were this character in games, like it was pretty much fucking pay to win. So anyways, it's in talking about this Terminator skin now, this video is going on and it shows this guy like laying on the ground and he literally blends into the ground and he kind of just looks like a garbage, like pile of garbage or something like that on the ground, and not a single person could see him despite him being like right there in the wide open. Now the skin only costs $30, making it not so hard to get, and like the worst part of this whole thing is like that it's usable and competitive too. I think like, again, this is the second time now that they've had a skin like this. I think it just kind of goes to show you like how out of touch COD is, and like for me it's like it's kind of like no wonder like the player bases, the player count has dropped so drastically. I mean, even games like Fortnite and Apex don't have fucking issues like Call of Duty does with these pay to win skins. So what's your take on this? More pay to win skins in Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's crazy when there's stuff like cosmetics that make a humongous impact into the way the game is played. And I guess there's holes inside or on the skin as well that makes it a little bit difficult, like super difficult to see, and it just feels like it's so much smaller compared to other skins from what people were saying. But yeah, obviously, like the fact that it blends into the environment is a little crazy.
Yeah, because you saw the video, right? You couldn't even really see where he's at, because they showed it from like both point of views, and like everybody was literally just fucking walking right past him.
And I guess there's something too where it's like normally the characters have a sort of outline on them whenever you kind of hover over them, but I guess this character model doesn't have that outline. So
really?
Again, like I don't play Call of Duty, so I don't really necessarily know like what kind of impact it's making, but like there's a lot of people that are upset about it. I mean, to the point where it's like Activision has already removed it from the store, so you can't even really buy it. But the thing is, like, if they patch it and they make updates to the skin, the people that spend $30 are going to be upset, because I'm guessing a lot of people that bought it for the advantage rather than the fact that they like the Terminator.
I just think they need to stop making these small little character model skins that are very dark in color that blend into everything. It's fucking ridiculous.
You think they know ahead of time that the skin
okay, well, these skins should be play tested. They should put them in there. They should check it out. Like, okay, yeah, this might be a little fucking issue. And my biggest thing, I don't even care that the fact that it's usable. I just think it's bullshit that's usable in competitive, or that so it's like I'm gonna sound like such a ass for saying this. But I don't even think skins until they can figure out a way to stop making these pay to win skins. Skins should not be allowed in competitive. Anything that gives you like a slight advantage where like you blend into the background or it's harder for you to see shit like that should not be a fucking thing. That's kind of like why I like Fortnite is like all the skins are like you're big, bulky for the most part. They're bright. There's a few that are kind of fucking dark. But it's not like a huge fucking advantage. Like I think unless they can do a better job of like balancing them, then like just remove these skins from the fucking game. I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take, but it's like I don't know. I
mean, I don't think they would ever do that, because I think skins is one of the big reasons that people played those games.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like in the competitive. I don't care about public matches.
Yeah, but it's like there's people that all they play is competitive. So it's like you have to think it's like if you really like the Terminator and all of a sudden there's a Terminator skin, you're going to want to go back and play Call of Duty. Like I know, like I have friends that are humongous Dodger fans, and all of a sudden there's a Shohei Ohtani skin on Fortnite.
Yes,
so they re-downloaded Fortnite just to play the game, because it's like, oh, I get to play as Shohei Ohtani. Like I did the same thing when the Dragon Ball Z skin came out, because it's like I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan.
Well, do you think maybe then the answer is not that, but maybe they just need to start doing a better job of playtesting the skins in game and be like, okay, yeah, this isn't that bad, or get some feedback. I think they should have like a kind of like how WoW had it, and I think League has it too, like a public test realm that people can go see these changes. So I think before a skin comes to live, allow it to be used on their test servers. And then, have feedback based upon that. That way the shit doesn't get thrown into the game like this.
Yeah, something like that would be good. For me, I guess it's... I think they have to do something. It's either that, or maybe just walk around with the character, whoever the developers are, and see what it looks like in the map. Like, obviously, you don't want to make something that's going to blend in perfectly with one map, because then people are just going to spam. I don't know if you can select specific maps when you play Call of Duty.
No, it gives you like a few to select from. It'll give you like a little pool of like 2 or 3, and you choose it from that. Yeah,
because like Fortnite, like you said, they do a really good job of making their skins that do kind of look like they're going to match within the environment. They make them super cartoony, so they pop out and they're super, super, super visible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Call of Duty needs to take a page from Fortnite and start doing shit like that, because like most of the skins aren't very, I call it loud, very bright and out there.
Yeah.
All right, so top of this next one, so Monster Hunter Wilds just came out, and they actually just set a new U.S. launch record. That record being that PC accounts, they account for over half of its sales already. So I guess Monster Hunter Wilds was actually the best-selling game across all major platforms for the month of February, and they even had more than double the amount of purchases that Monster Hunter Rise had, which that came out in 2021. So we've talked again about how PC gaming is on the rise, and I think this kind of goes to showcase like how true that is. What do you think it is that makes PC gaming just so much more popular than consoles now?
I just think realistically, there's just you can just play so much more on PC. I think the PC is a lot more versatile. Obviously, you have things like Steam where you have thousands and thousands of games, whether it's AAA games or indie games like that you just don't have access to outside of PC. Then you also have access to a lot of Xbox exclusives. You can also play Game Pass. Same thing with PlayStation. You have the emulator thing. Like there's just so much more that you can do with the PC. And then obviously I think everyone's trying to be like the next big streamer. So I think everyone's kind of understood. It's like, okay, if I want to stream, I probably going to need a PC, whether it's like even like a basic one or a good one, whatever. It's because you just have so much more accessibility to be able to do things like stream with a PC.
Yeah, I agree. Like I've noticed that too. Like I was gonna say, like even though like PlayStation and Xbox like have their exclusives, it's just like it's kind of crazy that more people would rather flock to the PC than the consoles. And it even given like how much more expensive. I know we said like, yeah, you can get a decent computer for the price of a console, but like again, we both probably spent a few $1,000s on our setup, so it's kind of surprising that more people are doing that. But so, what do you think about the record? Did you get a chance to play it yet? I know, like I said, I bought it. I've played it for a few hours. I know you were telling me that it was going to be one of the games, or it was on your wish list. Did you have a chance to play it yet, or no?
I have not had a chance to play it. I just saw a lot of issues with the. No, not yet. I saw a lot of issues with the port, so I didn't want to buy it beforehand when all I was going to have was a Steam Deck. I just didn't want to purchase it yet if the only thing I was going to be able to play it on was a Steam Deck. Yeah, so I kind of held off on buying it, and then obviously I was seeing a lot of people were having issues playing it, and it was not the most optimized game. So that's why I was a bit surprised when I saw how well it was doing on PC specifically because of how bad people were saying the port was.
Yeah, that was so. It actually had like a negative review like right off the start, and I think I was telling you about that it was like everybody's complaining about. It's just like the PC version, like how bad the graphics were. Did you ever see any like the videos, like the memes of like the way that like the characters were fucking looking? Dude, it looked like some old like game that came out in like the 90s, like just blocky, like just garbage. But what's funny is, it
was pretty funny.
I didn't notice that issue. Again, maybe it's just because I have a very good PC, but I didn't notice that issue. So maybe it's just not optimized for lower quality GPUs, because like even on here, like it recommends a 2060, which really isn't even. I don't think that's like that big or that advanced. But yeah,
I saw someone playing it or doing the benchmarking with it on like a 3070, and they were getting like 30 FPS, which is like I can only imagine like I think I've been spoiled, and it's like trying to play a game on anything less than like 70 FPS or 80 FPS is just like what is going on. Like the first time I played my Steam Deck, because when I was going out there, it's like I haven't played anything like outside of like Balatro on my Steam Deck in a long time. So it's like I was trying to play like a real game, and it was getting like 50 FPS. I was like, I thought I was gonna throw up.
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of these reviews too, and Actually, I haven't played it here probably in about 3 weeks or so. And like the reviews are like still talking about the optimization. Like I cannot recommend this game in the current state it is. It is unacceptable to release a video game in this state. This person goes on to say, the game by itself is great. There's no denying that, but optimization in this game is horrid. It's unbelievable how bad it is. So it almost makes you just not even want to fucking try it. At least wait a couple weeks or a couple months until they optimize it. Because like this is why we talked about with like GTA, why they release everything on console first, because consoles all have the same fucking graphics card in them, whatever. Everybody has a different PC, which is why it takes them like a year to really make sure it's optimized before they release it. So they're pretty much pulling like a Cyberpunk and all that other shit where like it was just garbage on PC because they're trying to release it all at once. Is that all the complaints are from PC gamers?
Oh really?
Yeah, that's all everybody's. It's like all about the PC optimization is being trash.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense. It's like you definitely want to see developers take a little bit longer on their games and make sure that they're ready to go for PC. But at the same time, it's like if you're a console only player, it's like, do you want to wait another year for a game that you've been waiting on forever? Or and obviously the developers don't want to release it later. I think there's only certain developers that could probably do that. Outside of that, it's like by the time
but Capcom's huge.
But not to the extent of like your Rockstar, Square Enix. Like, I think Square Enix saw a major decline in how many people bought the new Final Fantasy because of how long it took them to release it on PC. Like, they waited almost a year and a half to release it on PC before where it's like if they had released it like day of, like I think their sales would have been insane. But now they struggled with sales because it's like they waited so long. There was absolutely no hype, and there was people playing other games, and there was other games that are coming out.
Okay, so what do you think the fix to it is? Just spend more time trying to optimize it on PC before we release it?
I think in general, just optimize the game better for everything. Like you don't. I think whenever companies are trying specifically to optimize a game for like the high end graphics cards, which it kind of seems like that's probably what's happening, and that's why there's so many issues with people running it on like 2 generations, 3 generations ago GPUs. I think it's like if you're going to optimize a game, optimize it for whatever 2070, 2050, whatever graphics card GPU you're looking at, and then test it on your higher end ones, because it's like normally if it's optimized for something less, the higher end GPUs are going to be able to run it just fine.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because I don't know how old that fucking GPU is. That 26, whatever I just said it was. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty old. Yeah, it's at least like maybe 7, 8 years, 10 years. But it doesn't seem like they optimized it for it, because you're having people that are struggling with the 3 series.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what it was again, where it was at. It shows what it's optimized for. I can't fucking find it. Oh, right here. Okay, yeah, so it's recommended RTX 2060.
Really?
That came out, let's see, RTX 2060 release date. Yeah, okay, so 2019 is when that came out. Yeah, so they haven't even optimized it for a 6-year-old graphics card.
Yeah, I mean,
so they should have optimized it for something even lower than that, some 10 years ago, That's fucking crazy. So anything else you want to talk about with this new record in Monster Hunter?
No.
All right, so before we get into our last topic, don't forget to stay connected with us on all socials at the BSOGG. And if you're enjoying this episode so far, please be sure to share this podcast. All right, so Astrobot, man. An Astrobot director was at a conference thing, and he's basically being praised for what he said. He came out and said, it's okay to make a small game because players today don't have like time to act, to play like their backlog of games. And I think, Steve, like this is probably something that resonates with you, because I know you have a huge backlog of games. Like, how true do you think the statement is?
I think it's very true. I think sometimes developers get a little bit too ahead of themselves, and they try to make something that's just way too big, and it doesn't necessarily really make sense. I think we saw that with Star Wars Outlaws. It's like they were trying to do so much that the game just wasn't working. Like it just didn't make sense. I think in general, it's like in terms of quality, like you could probably get a much better game if you're able to spend the same amount of time refining and developing something that doesn't require as much effort and work. But then at the same time, like you said, it's there's just so many games coming out.
Yeah, and like
I have.
Oh, here you go.
Sorry,
first.
No, I was just gonna say I have a humongous backlog. Like I have maybe like 10 or 15 games that I've been wanting to play for like a year, and then on top of that, there's like games that are coming out this year that I want to play, and so my backlog just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is like I'm noticing this myself too. So like I've told you before, and I said it here on the podcast about how I'm starting to purchase more games, to do a lot more single player games and stuff like that. Now I'm getting to the point of almost being overwhelmed with like how many games I need to play. Like I still haven't even finished Cyberpunk. Now I'm working on Assassin's Creed. Yeah, I just bought Monster Hunter Wilds. I have so much shit like No Man's Sky. What was it? Witcher, Resident Evil 4. Like there's just so many games like I haven't had a chance to get into, and like I got with these single player games, it's hard to bounce around from one to the other because like I hopped into Cyberpunk a couple weeks ago and I was like, fuck, what are the controls? Where am I at in the game? How do I do this again? So it's like you said, and there's so many games coming out, like it's so hard to keep up with everything and be able to play everything. It's like I wish more games were like Astrobot, where they were a little smaller game that only took a couple hours to beat, compared to the hundreds of hours that all these other games, require to do. So I was thinking about this too. Like, are there any other like small games out that you could think of that are as good or even as popular as what Astrobot is? Because I can't really think of anything small besides maybe like Mario or something like that.
That like recently came out.
Recently came out.
I'm trying to think. Like
it seems like every game is huge now. It takes hours and hours and hours to play and beat.
I think a lot of them are probably going to be on your indie side. Because games are either super long, like at least like 40 hours or more to beat, or they just require, or not require, but there's games like you're going to be able to play multiple times, and you're going to have to play it multiple times to even get the hang of it. But yeah, most games are just extremely long. I can't think of anything that's even like.
Yeah, I was having a hard time doing it besides like nothing like recent.
I mean, I played like Crime Scene.
Did you want to say fucking simulator, dude?
Yeah, Crime Scene Simulator, and that game probably took me like 15 hours, 20 hours to beat. How long? Crime Scene Cleaner.
How the fuck do you beat a simulator?
No, so this is like a cleaner game. There's a story in it. Took me 13 hours to beat, so that wasn't like a long time. But I think a lot of these are like your indie games. Like I played Mortuary's Assistant, another like horror game. Same thing. It took me like 10 hours to beat. Yeah, outside of
these games that you're fucking getting, dude. These are all such weird sounding games.
They're fun.
Never even heard of any of these. Yes. So you think more devs need to take this into consideration as well? Like, hey, we don't need to have a game that takes 100 hours to finish it.
It's harder to justify playing a game if it's going to take you 60 hours to beat, and then there's another game that you want to play that's coming out. Because then you have to make the decision of like, oh crap, do I want to buy this now? I think like Assassin's Creed is a perfect example. It's like that game just came out. But then like you said, you also had Monster Hunter that came out a little bit ago. You had Split Fiction that came out a little bit ago. You have GTA that's coming out soon. It's like, how much time are you going to be able to put into Assassin's Creed? It's like, do you want to buy it? Or it's like, and then at the same time, it's like you have Cyberpunk that you've been playing, and No Man's Sky that you've been playing. So it's like, okay, do I want to buy this, or can I just wait? And I think that's why I have so many games and such a big backlog is like, a lot of the times I tend to wait to buy games And then when they go on sale, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna buy it, and then eventually I'll play it. If I get the time to, I play it. If not,
more
then
games
whatever.
on the Game Pass, you're not spending, because like Assassin's Creed, I spent like $74 fucking buying it.
Yeah, I mean, Game Pass is good, but at the same time, it's like, like you said, not every game is going to be on Game Pass. So I think eventually you either have to buy it now or you just wait. I think once you kind of figure out like in your mind how you're able to, prioritize which games you want to play more, then you can start putting them on levels where it's like, okay, I need to buy this game right now because I'm gonna drop everything I'm doing.
You're making it sound like it's a fucking second job, dude.
I mean, it kind of is when you think about how much.
Like, let me pull up fucking Microsoft Excel and create a spreadsheet of about how long it's gonna take me to do this and what game I need to do in order. Basically, it's like, god damn, dude.
I mean, when you think about how much time you have to put into these games and how much effort some of these take, like it basically is a second job. It's like you're coming home. Like I can't tell you how many days or how much time, like how many times, like I'd be playing the game, and I would go to work, come home from work, and I was like, I just really don't have the energy to play this game right now. I'm gonna have to wait until next day or something like that. And it's hard when it's like a story game, and it's like you said, you forget what you've been doing, and you forget where you were at, and you're like, fuck, okay, now what am I gonna do?
Exactly.
It's like, okay, now I'm just not going to play this game anymore because I'm going to move on to something else.
I'm going to go hop into Crime Scene Simulator instead because I could just hop into this pick up I left off it.
That's why I love simulator games, is because you can literally just jump into them whenever you want.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. I guess like when they were making this game too, like that, he said that was like their whole focus of like they wanted it to not be like so long to complete.
Yeah, and to be fair, most platformers are kind of like that. Like when you look at Mario games, like most Mario games you could probably beat within a day if you really try. Unless you're like some crazy good player, then obviously you're going to beat it a lot faster. But like if you're just like your average Joe, like I remember like Mario 64, it took me probably like the first couple times I played it, like maybe 10 hours, 12 hours, something to beat it.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and then it's like once I started kind of getting more into it and like starting to figure out like, okay, I want to try to get all the stars, then yeah, it took me a little bit longer the first couple times to get some of the stars, but then you kind of just figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. So anything else you want to hit on with this, or?
No, I'm good.
All right, so an upcoming game that looks like it might be worth getting is you got Hitman World of Assassination is coming out on March 27th on PlayStation only. Some games you need to check out on Steam that are on sale at the moment. You got Street Fighter 6 is 50% off at $29.99. Titanfall 2 is 90% off at $2.99, and then Cyberpunk is 60% off. I feel like that game's on sale all the time. That's at $23.99. So yeah, that's it for today's episode of the BS Show. If you enjoyed the unfiltered conversations, make sure to share this podcast and follow us on all socials at the BS Show GG. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back next week with more straight talk. No BS.